I'm talking about Tanner now,
Yeah.
because we moved away from Mill Fork and traded farms. I don't know all the ins and outs about the trade, but somehow the way we got the farm there on Tanner, Uncle Dave Chenoweth was mixed up in it some way, and we traded with Hiram Cox. And Dad had to give $100, we called it $100 boot, between the two farms. So he borrowed the money from Uncle Dave Chenoweth, $100, and we moved. And of course, Uncle Dave lived over on the head of Brushy Fork or someplace over there. And so he naturally sort of began to want his money, and Dad was, well, when we moved, he was 42 years old. Mother was 38. And so Dad had no money, no way to get money, trying to raise a family of 7. And so I've heard him tell the story. He told Uncle Dave, well, now, Uncle Dave, you just take the farm and get your money out of the farm. We'll do the best we can. He said he just to the point where he didn't know what else to do. So Uncle Dave said, well, maybe I can help you. So they got into a deal, and Uncle Dave let us have on the farm there at Tanner probably 25 sheep. And we called it keeping them on the shares. We raised the sheep and kept them in pasture, and then kept them in the winter time. And then Uncle Dave would get a portion of the wool and the lambs in the spring, you see. And so that's the deal they worked out. And through Uncle Dave Chenoweth, now I've always had very high respect for him because he gave us a start there on Tanner. We were about as poor as church mice when we moved there. And Uncle Dave let us have these sheep. And so that's the way then, of course, we'd get so many fleece, and he'd get the fleece when we shear the sheep in the spring. And then when the lambs would grow up, we would divide the lambs. You see, well, that'd give us a start. And so from that on, we'd done pretty well. And I sort of think of that as a starting point there on Tanner, because Dad sort of got his feet on the ground, and then they began to work for Uncle Dave, and the older boys would work for him in the harvest, and he'd bring his mowing machine over and mow the old round top up there, and what meadow they could mow. And we were very good friends. And well, I always personally appreciated that. Then Mother would save a good fleece of wool, and Mother would work this wool up into sort of a long story. Of course, it had to be washed and cleaned, and then she would card it. We had cards, and she'd make a little long roll of wool, that long, about as big around as your finger. And then she had this spinning wheel, and I've watched her spin this wool into threads, watched her many times. And one little piece of wool so long would make a great long yarn, you see. And she'd card this wool maybe at night, make the rolls, and make the yarn, and finally would knit it. She'd had 4 knitting needles, and she'd knit socks for the boys, and to keep us warm, mittens in the winter time.